Hello and welcome, each and every one of you. With you today is me, Daiga, multilinguistic international coach therapist from DCTcentre, and joining me again is lovely Morganne Rayne, Adept, visionary, spiritual guide, ceremonialist, and artist, and absolutely unbelievable great person. So, hello, Morganne.
Are you projecting on me again
I
in such a
try.
beautiful way? Yeah, thank you. I listen to you when you kind of, rattle off things about me, which is that's just like the tip of the iceberg. But it's because I've been so connected to my world, and I keep learning and growing as you do too, right? We just keep embracing those things. I think about the first thing you call me is I'm a spiritual adept. It's like I didn't name myself that. It's like this is what people's, they go, "Oh, you're a spiritual adept. Oh, you're an adept." It's like, "Oh, wow, I must be a spiritual adept." Then what does that mean? It means that I practice the presence of God. I work in the spiritual realm. It just means I put my energy on it, just much like I do the artistry and all of that. And I love that you see it, because those are aspects of yourself that you see in me. You couldn't see them in me if they weren't already present in you. So,
Morgan, um, I can't even now when I'm working with you on quite regular basis. Yeah, I can't even tell who you really are. This is this is what you give me at that time when we very first time make show, which is
mhm,
now seems ages ago. Yeah,
mhm.
it's something what you give it to me to present you. Yeah, how I could present you, but it's like you said, it's so deep. It's really, it's not even the top of the iceberg. Your personality, your soul is unbelievable. It's
Well, it's ancient and old, right?
ancient, old,
It's ancient and old.
beautiful.
Yeah. And you live that many life experiences, and you show up in, like I showed up in this life experience with lots of knowing, lots of remembering. That's not a mistake. I look at as, I came here to give these to everyone here, so that at this time, I mean, look at where we are in our world, in our humanity, in our spiritual evolution. We're at the most pivotal time in consciousness, and here we showed up, right? And yes, I'm blessed that I remember. That's not always a gift, let me tell you.
From my point of view, it feels like it is gift because I all my life knew something inside me is different. I knew um, there and there I didn't believe this, but I knew something is different. Yeah,
Yep.
and I have this glitches. Yeah, the I know this is not what they telling me. Yeah, like let's say about monkeys and all evolution. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
I straight away, even as a 7 or something year old kid at school, when they tried to teach me that we came from monkeys, yeah, I said not happening. And why I now going to zoo and see monkeys? Why they don't turn up as human?
Right. It's like, if we evolved from a monkey, why are there still monkeys?
Yes.
That's kind of my question, and you're having that same query. It's like, so one of the things that we are not taught is to be curious or to ask questions. In fact, in the systems that they have given to us in government schools, is to sit down, shut up, memorize, Don't ask questions, accept what we tell you, regurgitate those facts, and then you can move on, right? So we're being trained to just accept what we're being told, the capacity to regurgitate that so that you can go out and be a good citizen, or whatever, a good employee or a good whatever. We are not encouraged at all to think, be curious. All of that is, then we're labeled ADD, ADHD, problem child, all of that, when in fact, we are closer to our sacred spiritual selves when we question, when we are curious. And, it's that curiosity. I often say this one spiritual quote is, you cannot enter into the kingdom unless you become as a little child, and I've explained that countless times, but it's so important, because what is that consciousness of a little child? It's curiosity. It's the belief that everything is possible. Like they haven't been told, oh, you can't do that. Well, they eventually get told that, right? You can't do that. You can't say that. You can't share that. Don't do that. You're going to get yourself in trouble. That I heard that a bunch of times. Don't say that because you'll hurt someone. It's like, so early on you start getting those sensors, right? You're censored in your intuition that's coming forward. You're censored in the ability to see between the veils. That's a big one, right? Because then you're trained to only believe what you see, what's 3D, what you can touch. Your capacity for imagining, and it goes away, right? So we got a lot of people on this planet, but half of them are dead wits, right? There's no wit, there's no life in their capacity to think and be. And it's kind of what I wanted to a little bit talk about today, which
I'm so sorry. 1 minute. We have joined by few people today. Please, guys, you can interact with us. You can ask questions, and Morganne is more than willing to help you out with that. And Lisa is back. Hello, Lisa.
Good morning.
Lisa says, I'm back again to find out if wonderful Morganne has a message for me focusing around love and my love life.
Well, let me talk about what I was thinking about talking about, and you keep your thought there, Lisa. Just stay with your thought, and let's just see how this evolves for you, and then when I'm kind of done with with what's coming forward for me, then we can, if you haven't gotten the answer to your question, which that you're actually asking me a kind of a fortune telling question. What's in for my love life? Well, maybe you'll get some of that in what I'm about to say. So let me just take a drink.
Cheers.
Pressed pomelo and mandarins. So good.
I don't know how look like pomelo, but mandarins I know.
Pomelo is like a giant grapefruit. Okay, so in the community that I live in, this is just a real microcosm of the world. It really is. If I just step back and look at it, all the representatives are here in playing out the psychodrama of what's going on in our world. So I am currently assisting two people who came forward to me to ask me for help in communication. Well, what's interesting is that each of those people that came to me for help with communication, they were having a communication difficulty with each other. So now I'm between these two people that are having um, difficulty speaking to be heard, and they're having difficulty listening to understand or learn where the other person is coming from. And I love that they came forward and they each asked me independently if I would help them, although it does put me in a unique position. The other thing is on Saturday, we are hosting, I am hosting, my team is hosting a communications workshop, because communications is highly important in our world. If we're not communicating effectively, then we miss the whole thing, right? We're just in our own sandbox up here going round and round. So in this communication, they've chosen a particular way to communicate, which is through email, which I said, well, that'll be very interesting. I encourage them face to face. Let's work it out. No, they wanted to communicate by email, which becomes problematic because you can't get the full nuance of a person if you're just writing words to them. You can't see them. You can't see their facial expressions. You can't see when they might be in distress. You can't. You take out a huge element of how a person communicates. It's not just in a written word. That's a very weak way of doing it, unless you have exceptional skills for writing and evoking another person's imagination or whatever. But what's happening is that they are projecting their positions and their opinions in these emails. And so there's this going back and forth with them, and I'm just going to let them play it out. They're grown up people. They should be able to do this. And I just kind of watch the dynamics going on. But something that one of the people said and had emailed me last night, and I chose not to respond to it until this morning, because what the email did was trigger me, right? They were being triggered by something, but how they put it forward was as like a like not an accusation, but a maybe you see this incorrect. Maybe you don't see this right, Morgan. Right? And so I had to really stop and think about that and about what that trigger was. So when I woke up this morning, the whole thing was like, oh yeah, I see this. This is just triggers. And for me, triggers are treasures. Triggers are treasures. And a lot of people don't they don't want to agree with that, because you feel like if you're being triggered about something, you need to stop it. I go, no, like, let's jump into that little puppy and let's check it out. Let's see what it's all about, right? And so I made some notes. So I just want to pull up my notes here so I don't.
Morgan, how it is? We have another person asking us questions and talking to us. We wait for when you finish your thought, or I read to you this.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah. Let me just finish up, because some of this may help people, right? Yeah. And I think that we all get triggered about something, and that just leads us to the place where we have yet a little more work to do. So I had a little more work to do on this aspect of being not accused, but being challenged on what I was speaking to. And the whole challenge is around being understood. to understand and to be understood, right? And we think in our infinite wisdom that to be understood is that you're going to get on my same page with me and agree with me. Well, good luck with that, because that's not going to happen, because everyone has their own opinions, their own beliefs. And to be in that understanding or being understood simply means that you have the willingness to just hear where someone's at. You don't have to jump in the camp with them and pick up their banner and wave it. You just have the integrity and the love to simply bear witness and listen, but truly listen. So there's a knack to listening. So let me just go through my notes, because they seem so very important when I wrote them down, and I don't want to lose that. So just give me a moment while I pull it back up again. Okay, so we can ask questions like, and I'm sure in our audience, everyone has been triggered by something. And if you haven't, well, then you're probably not a human and you didn't come here to learn what it is you need to heal from. Probably, that's what the triggers are for. So I'm going to give some kind of common triggers about things that might trigger you, and kind of be in that deep listening for your own self. Like, what are things that trigger me? So I just wrote a few of them. What triggered me? I felt powerless. What triggered me? I felt judged. What triggered me? I felt unheard. What triggered me? I felt unsafe. I felt excluded. I felt blamed. I felt disrespected. I felt a lack of attention. I felt lonely. I felt like I couldn't be honest. Boy, that's a big one right there. And I see in some of my communities that one right there, I felt like I couldn't be honest. So when you are in that particular trigger, you withhold what you think and you believe, because if you shared it, you probably believe something's not good's going to happen, right? More triggers. I felt uncared for. I love this one. I felt like the bad guy. I felt forgotten. I felt unloved. I felt frustrated. I felt trapped. I felt disconnected. I felt controlled. And I felt like I couldn't speak up. So if you notice in all of those triggers, there's one key thing. It says, I felt. I felt. I felt. So you feel these things. And these feeling states that are coming up, these are important for you to go, well, why do I feel powerless? What's happening that I'm, and this is the place where you want to become extremely curious about, I don't know if you want to play along with me on this, Daiga, but when you have felt scared that there's not going to be enough, right? You remember what that felt like?
I do remember, yes.
Right. So it was a trigger, right? It was a trigger for you to respond to it, right? What if you would have just pushed it away? What if you'd have just said, oh, get over it, Daiga, go figure it out or whatever, right? But you are curious about why do I have this trigger? What's going on in my psyche and my awareness in my belief system that would cause me to believe I don't have enough, right? But if you think about that trigger of I don't have enough, what happens in your body temple? What happens to your chemistry in your being, right? That trigger will send off all of these chemical responses. Could be fear, could be shame because there's not enough, could be blame. You might blame someone, like you could blame your parents for not teaching you, or, there are all these things that are wrapped in that feeling. I felt sad. I felt ashamed. So you go to those triggers and use them like treasures to discover what's below that. And for me, when a trigger comes up, like what it did last night, when I felt like when this person says, well, I don't think this person wants to be understood. Why do you think that? Why do you think that? I don't see that in the language. I don't see that. So it was interesting in me going, okay, just put that aside, let it go, sleep on. I prayed on it actually last night. I asked Holy Spirit to assist me in processing what was being triggered within me, right? And I realized that my trigger was, I don't want to be wrong. Right? I have a big feeling thing about, I don't want to be wrong. So when I look at and I have the courage to examine that, is it okay to be wrong? Yeah. Is it okay to make a mistake? Yeah. But we're not trained to think that, right? It's just like all that training we got in school to sit down, shut up, just regurgitate what you're being told and you'll be fine, right? And what a mediocre, meager existence that is, because it takes away all of our beautiful, magical, intuitive, imaginal ways of being. So those are some triggers. So I just want to read a little bit of my notes here, that, and unless you got some questions there. Okay, so go ahead.
No, I don't.
Okay, so I wrote down, taking responsibility for your triggers means to identify the situations or the actions that cause negative emotional responses. And most importantly, try to work with understanding why they affect you. So that's the journey I took last night. I wanted to understand why it was affecting me and what information or data that I developed to have effective coping strategies to manage these reactions. So that could be like I could react and be snooty about the whole thing, or I could do a reaction like I just give into it and go, oh, you're right. But that didn't take me down the path of self-discovery. Those triggers always lead you down a path of self-discovery. And a lot of times what's blocking you, what are the obstacles? So then I wrote, now recognize your weak spots. And when you recognize your weak spots, that does not entitle you to demand others to conform to your own comfort zone. And that's what I realized that this person was doing was, and the response I gave back to them this morning was, sometimes being in that place of be understood or understand, is that really what you're after? Or are you really after agreement? Are you because this person hasn't agreed with you on your points, does that mean this person doesn't understand or has understood you? So I think it's important to have those kind of distinctions when we're in relationships, because just to be open and hear somebody really doesn't mean you have to agree with them. It just means that they have a different point of view. They have their own unique experiences and their traumas, and those are the filters they look through the world and they view their world in. It's also the filters that they allow energy to come in, their world to come in. And it's so important to understand that your triggers are about your reactions to what's happening. It's not about someone else's actions or what they think or feel. It truly is all about your reaction to what it is. And that in that way, we're taking full and complete responsibility over our own self. Um, Avoiding, and this is the important part, avoiding that responsibility for your sensitivities only perpetuates a delusional state where you see yourself as a perpetual victim to the endless array of words and actions. And I saw that occurring within these dialogues of these two people, that they're just they're just bouncing off, they're being triggered all over the place, but they're not either of them curious enough or courageous enough to like delve into, well, isn't that an interesting trigger? What about that? Where is it occurring? Where have I felt this before? And those are some good questions to ask when you have a trigger. Whoa, boy, this is feeling pretty weird. When have I experienced this before? What a great question to ask that we don't ask ourselves, because we get so reactive. We get so we're not communicating by a response. We're communicating with reactions. So I wanted to kind of get that out, because that's in my living space here, and work that that I'm doing in the community. We can hope others will be curious enough to play along, and that's up to them, right? That's all we can do is bring it forward. But as we come in again more into the holiday season, people remind me, oh yeah, I don't know about going to my family, and oh, they just don't think like I do. They don't. Well, great. That's really good that they think differently than you do. Can you be curious about that? Can you allow them to have their thoughts and their feelings just where they are? You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to jump in bed with it. All you have to do is just accept and listen and appreciate. So that's what I wanted to throw out about triggers, that it's really important to when those triggers come forward, to be curious enough to follow it and realize that triggers are really your treasure, not something that's coming up to make you feel bad or haunt you. It's coming forward to be healed. It's wants to come out. It wants to be exposed, or it wouldn't be there at all. So on that note, are there questions from our community that?
Yes, Lisa is waiting, yeah, for I am back again to find out if wonderful Morganne has message for me focusing around love and my love life. And we have first time today Polyan with us. And she is asking, hello, Daiga and Morganne. I'm both bipolar and ADHD person. Do you have any advice for me? I feel like I'm disconnected from reality, and I need your advice about getting in touch with reality.
Yeah, look at that. Right. And bless your heart, you've been put in all these boxes, right? And given labels and diagnoses, right? And who knows what caused that? Because as I know, we are created in the image and likeness of wholeness and beauty and strength and joy and all of that. So within their environments, both of them, right? Both with the diagnoses and also with Lisa, who is curious about her love life, right? Well, if she let me just address Lisa first, okay? Because these are
because Lisa was first, so it's more.
Lisa is first, right? So if Lisa is concerned about love life, means Lisa probably doesn't think there is love in her life, or she's waiting for love to come into her life, or some person to show up for her life so that she can feel loved, right? So love life questions are really interesting, because when they're being asked, it indicates to me that they believe there's a lack of love in their life. There's a lack of a person or an object of the love in their life. So when a person is in that state, you want to put your focus on love, on self-love, on developing you as the love of your life. And what that does is it strengthens you in love, and then you become an attractor to that. So we can only, and I've talked about morphogenic fields on this program before. Whatever resonance or frequency we are at is what is attracted into our field. It cannot be any other way. It just cannot be. So we pay attention to what it is, the frequency that we are giving out. So if there's the question of, what about my love life? What about that? Which means, oh, I don't have a love life. Am I ever going to have a love life? So what is it? Be curious about that, Lisa. Like, dig down and like, what are you really asking yourself, right? I am not a crystal ball reader, but I'm a frequency and energy reader. And when someone is speaking from a place of lack of love, we'll just go there because that's where Lisa is. It truly means that she's not having that experience of being loved and giving love. Well, that can be easily switched by beginning to love yourself, like take care of, do self-love for self, generate for yourself how you want others to be with you. And in that morphogenic field theory, if you love self so much and care about so much, you can only attract into your field others who love so much and care so much. Does that make sense? And you can ask Lisa, is that making sense?
Does it make sense to you?
Is she writing back?
Not yes, it does make sense.
Yes. So for Lisa to begin to fall in love with herself, her everything about herself, even quirkiness. I love my quirkiness, and I've got a sense of weird humor that shows up, and I sometimes get a little trouble about it, but I love that about myself, that I have this wit and humor. Maybe other people don't love that about me, but I don't care. I love it about me. We talked about all my abilities in the beginning, right? Should I shut those abilities down to fit in somebody's box? No, I get to be all of those things, and I get to love myself, that I love art, and I love music, and I love cooking, and I love being with people. I love myself in the presence of that. And I will tell you, Lisa, and everybody else, I went through a place in my life where I did not love me. I did not like me, and I did not want to be in this body. Anybody ever else been there too? Yeah. And like, God must have made a really bad mistake, because I'm not supposed to be there. And what the hell situation did you put me in? So I laugh at myself, right? And we get so mad at God about things. But the truth is, every situation we've been called to, arrived in, incarnated in, grew up in, are all there for a beautiful, holy, and divine relationship with self. It teaches us where we have work to do. It teaches, and these are great triggers, right? So if you have a trigger of nobody's going to love me, and how does that feel? Right? That feels pretty crappy, right? So, but realize that's just a feeling. That's just a trigger. It's the opportunity to go, well, I wonder where that came from. I wonder why I believe that. Let's get curious here. Let's dig around with this. Could it be possible that I could just love myself and become that frequency generator of self love? I tell you, people are just way attracted to me. They're attracted to my energy. They're attracted, and even in my community where I am diametrically in opposition to a lot of people's political views, I'm still loved. I'm still honored. I'm still appreciated because I love, honor, and appreciate myself. And that energy just permeates everybody and everything. So that's that morphogenic field in operation. But the same thing can be true if we don't feel like we're loved and we don't love ourselves. I know when I was in my own self-loathing phase, man, my whole world was coming apart. And I wanted to blame my family, my mom, my dad, my ex-husbands, I could just, and I'd be justified in doing that because if you heard those stories, you go, oh gosh, poor Morganne. Oh my God, that was a terrible incarnation. What the heck? No, it was like the best thing that ever happened for me because I got to delve deeply into absolute truths that I am supplied and supported. I am loved beyond all wild imaginings. I am talented. I'm gifted. All of those aspects. So I got to move into the triggers, and all those are triggers too, to arrive at the truth. So triggers will help you arrive at the truth if you're courageous enough to take that trip. Okay, now I hope that answered Lisa's question. Now, what was the other question?
Um, Polyan is both bipolar and ADHD person. Do you have any advice for me? I feel like I am disconnected from reality and I need your advice about getting in touch with reality.
Okay, I love that question. Okay, so the first thing I go, well, whose reality first? Right? Because there's the world's reality, and are you fitting in it, right? And apparently not, because you got put in these boxes of bipolar and other diagnosis that the world wants to lay on someone because they are not cooperating with their sensibilities, their comfort levels. I know that when I had my two youngest children were in school, they would say that both of them were, one was ADD and one was ADHD, right? This is like a long time, like 30 years ago, when these labels were just starting to come out. And oh boy, those teachers were like really handy with throwing out the labels, right? And so what was the issue? Well, they had never learned, because in my teaching them, we were very curious. We were in the environment. We were picking things up. We were measuring things out in the dirt. We were always on the move, learning and moving and growing. But when they got into a classroom situation, they had to sit down, shut up, and just listen to what the teacher said, right? So because they it's not that they couldn't, they just at that point in time didn't know how to do that yet. They hadn't been conformed in that kind of way. They got diagnosed so that they could get something, medication that would make them more compliant, right? So may not be the best person to ask that question, because I have a whole lot of energy on the medical field and people putting people in boxes and diagnoses and saying, oh, you're this way or that way. Well, I understand that people have issues. And if you have a bipolar personality, well, what does that mean? how does that make you feel? What's being triggered within you? And what are the reactions of all the people around you? So I would say that anyone who has those, and I work with people who have diagnoses, um, and I don't buy into the diagnoses because I have a very clear knowing who people truly are. And I'm going to always um, hold that person, like this person that has these diagnoses. That's just a label. That's just what somebody told them. That's just about behaviors. That's, it's like, what created all of that? Be curious about that. If you feel disconnected from the world, are you connected to yourself? Right? You can't be connected to the world if you're not connected to yourself, and being connected to the world in a good way, right? You can be connected to the world in a really bad way where that's all that is your realm, right? Just being in the world. But being connected to self is the most important piece, because if you're not connected to yourself, then your connections in the world are going to look very disconnected. If you get connected to yourself, your life, your balance, your personality, your gifts, your talents, get connected to all those things and kind of fall in love yourself, like the advice I gave to Lisa. And then when we are in the world will look very different. The world will come at you very different. Again, that morphogenic field, what comes to you is a result of your own frequency, your own. So even if you have a diagnosis like that, then so I'll just say this. I from the time I was in my early 30s, which was more than half my life ago, I got this diagnosis that I had this disease called glaucoma. So, when I first got it, I kind of really didn't know what that meant. I knew about glaucoma, but I'd always known it to be like an old person's disease, right? So, there were triggers about that. I'm not an old person, it's like, how did this happen? And a lot of blame and whatever. But in truth, that diagnosis caused me to really go down a very self-inquirious path. And how that happened is when I got the diagnosis and I realized, oh, I have an old person's disease. I went to Louise Hay's little blue book, You Can Heal Your Body. And if no one has that's an amazing little book. I work from a way bigger book that she worked with to develop that. But in there, the metaphysical condition behind glaucoma was stony unforgiveness. Stony unforgiveness. And I had to sit with that. I had to really sit with that. Where in my life am I not forgiving? And I could tell you, I had like a list, right? That's all that blame stuff, right? All that who was to blame for all the perils, mishaps, So really, my diagnosis is what put me on the path of forgiveness, unconditional love, and forgiveness. And had I been just going along, regular in my world, leading a mediocre life, then I may not have had that opportunity to go, wait a minute. If stony unforgiveness is the metaphysical cause behind this, what should my actions be? And so at that point, you're at choice. And so I chose the path of forgiveness, and I chose the path of, um, of unconditional love, and that has served me very well. And it's created a person that is way more loving, way more forgiving, way more understanding. I allow people to have their own views without judgment, maybe some curiosity about it, but I don't judge them, right? How did you arrive at that? Isn't that interesting? So I do the same thing for myself. How did I arrive at that? That's really interesting. So when we have a diagnosis of something, I would say just go deep down. And for this, I don't. What time is it? Do I have a moment here?
45 minutes we already on.
Oh yeah, I was going to say.
And it's 1818, Morganne.
It's what?
1818 in my country.
Oh, I like that.
It's unbelievable. Every time when I'm looking at clock, is something like that. 11, 11, 18,
Yep.
18.
18. And I just wanted to go, I wanted to look, just hang on, audience. Just, I want to go look up this bipolar thing in my big book. Hold on.
So while Morganne is away, I want to remind everybody, if you like my shows, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube video channel. Many more shows like this is there. We already today doing 48 shows, so there is 48 hours of true wisdom, spiritual wisdom, and meditation there. Look up, I'm sure you are like it. And please share with more audience so we can reach more people and give this pure knowledge to more and more people eventually.
So this is the book that I'm going to be looking at. And I know, Daiga, you've seen this before, and I've shared this. So this is called Messages from the Body, their psychological meanings. And for the person who asked about bipolar, I'm just going to read from this because my guidance said to do that. And we will do that for this person.
And we have more people coming, watching show. Please, you can ask your questions as well.
Well, I'm not finding it right away. I'm sure it's in here. Let me look under psychological. Okay, so this person said they had bipolar, and what was the other condition?
ADHD.
Oh, ADHD. I know that one really well. I've been accused of having that too. It just means I have so much curiosity and so much energy. And you know what? My kids, they're so funny because they know how I am, right? And one of my daughters says, they make medication for that. And I go, why in the world would I want to medicate this incredible curiosity and this capacity to do all these wonderful things I do? Like they were seeing that as a problem. It's not a problem. Let me just see if ADHD is in here. It's not even in here because I think this book is way older than that diagnosis. So I can't help you with the book right now, and it's probably in here. I just need to find the right avenue to go get it. But I would say look at what labels people give you. How does that make you feel? What are the triggers around that? Follow those threads, and I would say, for me, I embrace my curiosity and energy and desire to paint in 1 hour and read a book in the next and cook a meal in the next. It's like, okay, it's all right. It's who I am, and I love me for it. So anyway, I don't know if that helps your person, but and I'm sorry I couldn't find it in the big book. I may look it up later, and maybe we can touch on that the next time we come on. But
Great.
yes, so yeah. So any other questions that maybe I can't answer?
No, there is no other questions. Maybe, do you have any downloads for either of them from their highest selves, or some messages?
Not directly, other than what I've already given, because all of that those are not just from me, that's from spirit, right? What I talk about, especially around the triggers, that's all from
Uh,
spirit.
uh, Polian is saying next time, but I love the answer. So she loves the answer anyway, but hopefully next time we will continue on this. How about you, Lisa? Do you like the answers? Because I think Morgan is right. It's already been sort of answered, and hopefully you are happy about your answers as well. There is no any answer.
Uh,
Yes,
and that's
Lisa is saying yes, happy with the answers.
oh good. Oh
Oh,
good.
great.
Yeah, and more than also being happy with the answers, are you curious enough to follow the threads of where this is? That's the beauty. And I would suggest to our listeners to, when you are we'll bring up the trigger piece again. When there's a trigger or a seeming lack or whatever, follow those. Be curious about that. Where did that come from? Why would I believe that? What's telling me that? Who's telling me that? What is this aspect of me that is thinking something else, that maybe I should have love in my life, or I could have love in my life. So just be curious about those things. I'm a proponent of curiosity. And because that's our gateway into the heaven. I don't see heaven as a golden pearly gates. I mean, it might be, I don't know, but I take that what the Christ said was, heaven is within you, the kingdom is within you. And that's what we need to generate. And that's why curiosity is so important. And that curiosity is the key to come in. So, yeah,
Key of the kingdom.
the keys to the kingdom. Yep.
Morgan, how you think at the moment is 26 past?
Yeah.
Do you
Let me just do a little prayer, okay? How about I do
like,
that? Because I don't have time for doing meditation right now. But let's just go into prayer. Let's go into the kingdom. And I just invite everyone to bring your attention and your awareness to this present moment. And take a breath into this present moment. And just breathe it out and let your body relax, and bring your attention to your body and to your mind and to your heart, and bring yourself really present. That's so important. And as we bring our awareness to the present moment, and as I bring my awareness to this present moment, I can now touch the presence that is within me, the presence of love, the presence of life, the presence of divine knowing, the presence of curiosity, the presence of patience, the presence of joy and peace. I can only access that by being in the present moment. And in this present moment, as I acknowledge the presence of the life and the love and the power of the divine creator within me and as me, I can now join in conscious union with the mind of creator, the mind of that life, the divine mind of all life. I join in that because I am part of that. I am that, its expression, as each of us are. Every one of us is an aspect of that divine creator, endowed with the creator. And in this present moment, as we just connect to that remembering, we connect to our true self. We connect to our peace. We connect to the love. We connect to the authentic being of who we are. And in that connection, I give thanks for whatever triggers come forward. And triggers can encompass so much, as we have spoken about today. As we confront those triggers that come for us, realize that they are simply that which is coming forward to be recognized and to be released. And so I am grateful for all of the triggers that come forward to show me where I have been stuck, show me what obstacles may be in my way, show me where it is I have forgotten the truth. And so I value those triggers, for they truly are treasures. And that if we pick them up and with curiosity and great love, we follow them. I know that we are guided every step of the way. We are illumined. We are given grace, and we are given great forgiveness for anything that we may have been harboring or holding on to. And so, knowing that, I speak my word that it's safe to allow the triggers to come forward. I speak my word that each and every one of us have the curiosity to follow that trigger, expose that trigger, love that trigger, and release that trigger to whatever is desiring to come forward. And I give thanks for this coming together today, this conversation that we've had as being humans here on this planet, for truly we are more than that. There is the human aspect of us that is living, breathing, and experience this third dimensional realm. But the truth of us is that we are the living presence of the divine life, the creator. We are its love. We are its peace. We are its joy, its goodness, its mercy. We are that. And in that realization, I so totally give thanks. And I ask for the courage to be that in a world that has forgotten. I ask for the courage to be the light among all people. And I ask that everyone that hears this now and hears it in the future, I ask that each of them have the courage to step into the light and be the light bearer of love and light and courage and peace. And so for all these things, I'm so deeply grateful, knowing that we are guided and guarded and given all that we need. I just say thank you. And I release this, for I know that what I have spoken is already done so in the mind of God, and it is now done within every heart and every mind that hears this prayer. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Morganne.
You're welcome. And community is welcome too.
thank you everybody who joined us today, and thank you everybody who will be watching in the future. Thank you from our hearts to yours. Thank you for watching. Please remember, like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let our channel grow. Let us reach more and more people. That is really timeless knowledge, timeless and very positive spiritual knowledge. So thank you for watching. Thank you for spreading our world. And God bless.